So while I'm at school, you have to do in a DMIN program a project that is going to be based on your context. Well, at Friendship West, we had more than half of our congregation under the age of 40. So I wanted to create a discipleship curriculum for young adults, but we had to start with data. And so I had to make a decision. Am I going to keep searching for this? I searched all over, couldn't find no data. Looked high and low, you know. So I had to decide what I was going to do. Was I going to beg people to do for us what they clearly decided not to do? Or was I going to trust what I've seen before when God makes something out of nothing or chaos? And I decided I wasn't going to beg nobody to do nothing for my community that I could do myself. So I very naively said that I would do it myself. I had a really good friend who was an expert. She was an experimental psychologist, and she worked as one of the lead researchers. She still does actually consult for my company. And so this was my life's work birthed out of a lot of pain. I wish somebody could have told me as my sister slipped away that I was heading into the best years of my life without the person I wanted to be there. I was talking to my therapist the other day, and I said, it just hurts me so much that my sister and my bonus dad didn't get to see this. Then I stopped and I said, oh, they were my biggest fan. They saw it before I could see it myself. So I come to you doing the work my soul must have. I don't do it because it's easy, because everybody thought I was silly for doing it. Nobody was doing just black data. They said, well, if you just do everybody, you can get more business. I said, I don't want to do everybody. They said, if you connect with Barna and just work for them, then, you can have a lucrative career. I said, I don't want to work for nobody. And especially not white people who could have done this and decided not to do it. So it was a long walk initially. Now it's cute. Before the pandemic, nobody was really checking like that. Post-pandemic, data was the dandada. So all of a sudden, we get to hit our stride. You may have heard of our study, the State of the Black Church study, where I served as a lead researcher. That was the first time we had data on black churches in 21 years. And the study that was done before that asked things like, if you were a believer, and then they asked about your sexual appetite, because they didn't value us to be much more than our own fleshly desires. So we got to learn a lot in the State of the Black Church study. We've done a number of studies since then. We've done gun violence. We've done civil rights. We've done the Black church response to Black Lives Matter. Lately, our latest research is the social impact of black churches in local community. Dr. Umar, and I use Dr. loosely, he had a lot to say about the black church. He said we were the only institution that takes and never gives. Then there was an article saying that all black pastors and preachers did was walk around in shiny suits and a Cadillac. And I was offended. Because once my daddy stopped working for GM, I didn't drive GM trucks and cars no more. But we couldn't keep saying what we thought was true. Coming to the table with anecdotal evidence, going on podcasts. I remember Van Lathan was like, is this true? And I was like, Van, don't do that. That's bad for the church community. It's bad for the kingdom. It's bad for our community. If you don't know it to be true, don't say it. So he said, you want to come on my show? I said, I didn't want to go anywhere else with anecdotal evidence. So we had Live Free and Black Church PAC commission this study, which means they put $300,000 to $400,000 into a study so that the black church could have a leg to stand on in an argument about who we were and what we've done. We wanted to ask a simple question. Is a community without a black church as dangerous as a community in a food desert. How well will the people be if they don't have a black church? Well, we did really well in some areas. And we flunked our flunkest in LGBTQIA++. Now, don't clutch your pearls. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. What I am here to tell you is, if we are going to say we are good for a community, that has to include all people. Healthcare, all people. Human kindness, all people. Food, all people. Education, all people. Daycare, all people. If we are good for the community, it has to be good for the whole community. How dare we, and I think it's good, how dare we go and march for immigrants, for their rights, and dismiss a portion of the black community and their rights? Now, I'm for everybody. And we should be concerned about immigration because there are also black immigrants. But we have to stop saying all if we don't mean all. Just say some of them. Just say the ones I like. Say the ones that don't remind me of my own issues. Say the ones that don't challenge me. It's all. So when we talk about how the church impacts the world, how the world impacts the church, we have to understand that for too long we have been eating dust instead of blazing trails. Instead of us looking at the landscape, instead of us looking out to see what is to come, we are really always being dragged into the next situation. Do y'all remember when Facebook was the devil? Y'all remember that? Hey, Reverend Fonby. Facebook was the devil until about March 17th, 2020. And then all of a sudden, Facebook was straight from God. Mark Zuckerberg became the bishop of the black church. Now he's become somebody we shouldn't trust at all. We have to get to the point where we are willing to inquire, study, experiment, so we aren't the last one to the table. In the pandemic, what do we say? We're not going back. We've progressed, we've advanced, we're not going back. Every time I did something, every time I was on a live, somebody, we're not going back. I said, they're going back. They're going back. Do you remember the excitement? It was scary, but it was also exciting. You know how many pastors were so excited that nobody was there and they could make the advances they had wanted to make anyway? And the truth is, sometimes the pastors were the only people holding themselves up because the people were excited once they got it. The world has impacted the church in many ways. We had the Great Resignation during the pandemic. That's when people decided that they would rather figure out another way than to be in a place where they weren't valued or appreciated, or that wasn't good for their mental well-being. If they were willing to leave their job over how they were treated, over how they felt, over their mental health, what do you think that means for the church? You know, this is the soft life era. Men want to live the soft life. Women want to live the soft life. Everybody wants a soft life. If we are asking for that in every area of our life, what does that mean for the church? People begin to work shorter days. Less meetings, say amen. They spend a lot less, a lot less time driving, a lot less money. But what has changed in the church? How many of us say we have a hybrid ministry? Thank you for being honest. Because it's one thing to have a voyeuristic ministry. And it's another thing to have a hybrid ministry. Hybrid ministry is intentional. It's not just setting up a camera or sharing things online. It's making sure there's something specific for those who watch. At least every other week, a pastor tells me that they are going to shut down streaming as a way to punish the people who have not been coming to the church. And I tell them, I like it. I like it. I think it's a good idea. But with this attitude, they probably ain't watching no way. You cannot punish people into doing what you want them to do. They talk about the attention span being low because that is what the world has done to us. It has lowered our attention span, and we want entertainment, and if it's not exciting, we don't want to do it. We don't want to watch it, correct? Well, this is the only weird thing about that. They have not shortened episodes or movies. But we spend a whole lot of time trying to shorten everything we can so that people will stay. We don't have an issue with timing. We have an issue with content. Black men are leaving every day to become Black Hebrew Israelites. And you know how they're introduced to that? Spending 6 hours on YouTube. That's called binge watching. We're trying to see what we can do to shorten something so that people will watch. And they are extending everything. But because the people believe they have something to say, they watch. Because they believe there's some type of revelation, they watch. Because they believe there's some type of information, if I'm honest, that nobody else knows, it's a secret to everybody, or everybody's ignorant, or they're going to enlighten them, they watch. Netflix will put out a whole season at a time. For about 2 to 3 days, I'm in a chokehold. I'm embarrassed to tell y'all that I have a TV in my bedroom, a TV in my bathroom, a TV in my kitchen. And when I'm binge watching, I just go from one to the other, to the other. The kids say I bake a lot if I'm doing some kind of binge watching. Because we take the time to do what matters to us. When I say we have a content issue, I am not saying that the gospel is not relevant. I am not saying we should stop preaching the gospel. But I am saying we have to be sober enough to look at what we share. Do you know how hard it is to sit with the client, a church, or a pastor, and tell them we're going to look at the analytics for Sunday morning? And we're going to watch their highest moments in service and their lowest moments in service. You talk about the armor of God, huh? We're looking for a bulletproof vest. Sometimes they intentionally leave for the preaching moment. But before I look at that, I always say, well, what are they coming for? What's the highest point in service? If it's music, extend it. While you figure out some things to do for the sermonic moment. If it's the music, shorten it. while they have a couple more rehearsals and lessons. If it's the cheering, we can take it about once or twice a year. But if they're going to go once a quarter or once a month, hey, we got to have a children's workshop or something. Because you also have to teach children excellence. Not whosoever will, let them holler. I was in the choir. I can't sing at all. Yeah, by the time I was about 9, my mama said, come on, it's time for you to come on out and find your gifts. This ain't it. I said, Mom, I'm a usher. She said, you can't be still. That ain't it. Guess where I found myself? The intercessory prayer team. I remember walking in, they looking like, girl, what you here? Oh, I'm just here. Okay, is your mom coming? Nope. I'm here. I'm an intercessor. Are you? Yes, ma'am, I have the gift of healing. Really? Really now? I remember going to my mom's Sunday school class, and they were all giving their praise reports and prayer requests. I said, I'm going to pray. They said, okay, Brianna, pray. So I prayed for everybody, their prayer requests, their praise reports. Then I go back the next Sunday, and I'm going to my children's church, and they say, Brianna, come into Sunday school. So I said, okay. So it was time for prayer and praise reports, and everybody's like, she prayed for me to have a job, this happened. She prayed for my healing, this happened. We want you to, my mom said, hey, my child's not a genie. Go to children's church. But I did have a church in whatever way. They were willing to embrace the gifts that I had. And I think sometimes we miss out on who we could have or who we could engage because we really don't have a gifts inventory that we do for the church. I understand the spiritual gift assessment. Ain't nothing wrong with it. But we're sitting there trying to figure out how we're going to hire a marketing team, and we have marketers who get paid great money, who don't want to sing, don't want to ush, don't want to do no hospitality, might not even be a fan of people, but they will be great at marketing because that's their jam. And we find teachers in the church, you should work with children. They don't even like children. They needed a job. You know how many of my friends, I'd be like, well, what school you teach at? Good. My babies can't go there. I know you're in real life, okay? Stay away from the cheering. We have to take a real gifts assessment. I remember being at a church that had 52 ministries. And I was over assimilation. It would seem like everybody had a place. So I would find somebody who would be like, nope, none of that's for me. You don't want none of it? You don't like none of it? Okay. You like children? No. You like young adults? You like standing and ushering? No. You like hospitality? No. You like to sing? No. Want to learn how to pray? No. Okay. You want to mentor? No. You want to be mentored? No. Want to teach? No. So I said, well, just come with me. You'll be a part of the assimilation ministry. One would do data entry. The other one would do events. And I just realized there has to be a place when people can just do what they do best. Volunteerism is the second greatest challenge in the black church right now, second to discipleship. It is difficult to stand and do something that you're not good at, that you don't like. I have had contracts signed, and I spent time with the team, and I could hear their heart, and I said, I can't be miserable. Not working for myself. I don't think this is a good fit. And here go your check. Nobody wants to do something that they're not going to do well, not over and over again. It's one thing if they're passionate about it and they're learning. You know, like people get on the praise dance team and can't dance, it's okay. Because if you're passionate about it and this is what you're willing to put your time and work into, okay. But if it ain't no natural gift, baby, you got to work. At some point, we are going to have to look at and value the people in our congregation. Volunteerism is feeling like maybe what people left when they left the Great Resignation. Going to place, not being valued, wasting my time for a t-shirt. Now, don't get me wrong. Some people volunteer just to get that t-shirt. Just give it to them, okay? People always talk about why black people, black young adults, prefer white mega churches, or white churches, they say, over black churches. And I explained to them, they're not going to Pastor Bob in a rural area. They're going to sexy church with dark lights and smoke and stuff, you know. They dim the lights. They put smoke. Karen Clark-Sheard came to my church. She said, they're messing up my vocals. I said, please, somebody, turn sexy church off. Give her old Baptist. Come on. And I tell them that the real attraction for a lot of black people to white mega churches is the lack of responsibility. They say things like, well, you know, the black church messy and da-da-da. Well, no, you have to get so deep into the black church because we don't have enough people helping. So some places where new people should not be, we bring them in out of desperation, and we tarnish our reputation. Sam Chan talks about the kitchen. Here's the thing. It's not even that what we're doing is bad, but have you ever been in the kitchen of a restaurant? Everybody's moving. Nobody has any kind of pleasantries. It's get out of my way. It's this not hot. This is not right. I just did this. You know, it's tough to be in the kitchen. That's just not where you start. But in white churches, you're not going to see the kitchen no way. Because in the kitchen, you might find out how they really feel about us. That's where they tell their truth. But the white church also has something that is being called the volunteer industrial complex. These white mega churches have people volunteering more hours than they work. They have them taking off from work because it's their reasonable service. And they do it for years until they realize somebody's been taking advantage of me. But there's a middle ground to that. You can value people. You can have systems. You know how it is when you say, we need 3 volunteers, and 7 people come. We're so excited. Just come on, we'll find something for you to do. No, you're not. It's only enough room for 3 people. Tell them the next thing they can volunteer for. Tell them how excited you are. Another thing that doesn't happen in white churches that happens in black churches are surrogate relationships. You know? When you go to church and you're in college or you're a young adult, you're going to find 1 mama, 3 aunties, and 2 grandmamas. And everybody thinks you're accountable to them. Depending on what type of family you come from, that can be a little stressful. But surrogate relationships are actually helpful. They're actually a part of what makes the black church the black church. But how we treat people is the problem. We learned one of the top 5 issues that people had with churches, or one of the top 5 issues that people wanted to see. One was friendliness of the congregation. I think that came in at number 2 of 5. we learned having mean people and saying that's just how they are is like putting a sniper in the balcony of your church. The problem is not having a surrogate grandmother. It's having a surly one that is going to try to do with this fake grandchild what they didn't do with their real one, huh? Because it's about relationship. We need relationship. You know we're in a loneliness epidemic in the country right now? Under a different administration, we would have had grants for health care for mental health to try to handle this. Well, you know we ain't getting it now. So that means it's going to be part of our responsibility. There's a loneliness epidemic. Seniors have one of the highest out of all generations suicide rates and STD rates. That's loneliness. Because when you're at the nursing home, it's one Bob to 6 Sarahs. You're lonely. My church, I'm back at my home church where I grew up. And I have to tell y'all, I have seen some of the most entitled people I've ever met in the world. And I absolutely love them. And they're a part of our senior ministry. We are so concerned with the fact that the suicide rates are up. That they come once a month to watch a movie, they come once a week for Bible study, they come 3 days a week for exercise. They do a $50,000 senior prom. It's crazy, y'all. I went in, my church hired me as a consultant, and they wanted like a dusty rose. And so I said, okay, so, how much is it gonna cost to rent it? They said, rent? We don't rent no fabrics. I said the tablecloths, the tablecloths, the chair cover. We don't rent that, we pay for it, we have the money. Do you ever return to the lavender? Well, no. Okay, I get it. State Fair, Texas is a big deal, right? Oprah's come, Chris Brown celebrities come. They spend $26,000 going to the State Fair. They get their ticket, their caregiver's ticket, and the $70 wheelchair. Listen, my mama's 76. I like the wheelchair. Come on, mama. I got $72 if you need it to put come on. I just want to make sure you can come. As much as I think they're entitled, because they are. We said you can sign up online. We won't be signing up online. Go ahead and print out those papers. Then we got to do data entry. Who going to do the data entry? You got 160 people coming to your prom. They're entitled. But when I was growing up, and we were going to New York and California and Florida, they put in the work to make sure we could do it and do it well. You can look at the majority of the successful young adults in the city. Either they were in our children's ministry or in our summer youth program at some point. Because they were so dedicated to making sure we had everything they thought we needed to be successful. So we're going to put the same kind of work in. They want to do a block party. This is not to brag. I ain't got no money. Okay, I need my money. I wrote a $20,000 check. Because somebody sacrificed, somebody struggled to make sure we could get what we needed, including scholarships. When it was time for the summer youth program, everybody signed up. We didn't know who paid and who didn't pay. We just knew somebody was going to cover it. My mom had 3 children. My mother and daddy could have paid. But you know what? My pastor said, I don't want you to pay for all 3 kids. There's something else you can do with that money for the summer. Pay for one and everybody's going to go. So it's easy to be kind to the same people who care for me. That's how church can work too. If we show people we care, and the care has to go beyond membership having its privileges. What exactly do I have to be a member of for the privileges? The faith or your church? That's scary. We have to get to the place where we think beyond the moment, the emotions of, I'm tired of baptizing, I'm tired of marrying people and they don't even go here. Let me say this. I have never had an easy time trying to be a leader in the church. You can imagine I was not a quiet, shy kid. I think I was vice president of the youth department at 8. I dared them not to vote me in. I've often been too young to lead. I've never been too young to tithe. You know, in the black church, you're a junior deacon until you're 73. Come on, look at you. You finally grew up. What are we doing? In the black church, you can give monthly for 40 years. And the return you'll get, I'm not talking about from God, I'm talking about the church. Benevolence when you need it. Well, you know, it's a limit. Pastoral care. When the deacons get around to it, the stewards get around to it, you know how it goes. And then when you die, you get a funeral and a repast with turkey tetrazzini, green beans at the can, and a roll. What an investment. So, you know, people get upset. No, God is, listen to me. You do not have to tell me about what God does for faithful people. Don't forget, I'm the same girl who God did in less than 2 inches saved my life. You do not have to tell me that God is going to do what God will do for faithful people, but what will we do for them? If you don't go here, you can't do this. If you don't go here, you can't do that. If you don't. But my grandma gave 40 years. It might not have been a whole lot of money. It might have been $90 every month. But she gave. And she made sure you had a roof before she had one. We have to get to the place in our lives, in our ministries, that we care about people, that we're trying to figure out what we can do for people, not our numbers, but people. Because if you genuinely give to people, they will genuinely give back to you. And sometimes God don't pay you back pound for pound. It's not quid pro quo. Pastors say things like, you know, we raise them up, they come to church, we do everything, and then they go to college and they don't come back. Well, how many years of servitude do they owe us? My home church initially didn't believe in women in ministry. But I remember writing checks and saying, hey, for everything you did for me. And I didn't have a whole lot of money. I was getting like $500. I felt like I was about to make that ministry Reverend Fund. I knew that ministry was going to thrive on my little $500. For everything you've done for me, I hope I can do the same for the youth in the church. Every time we go to Grenada, my mom said, how much you going to give Powell Chapel? Mama, Powell Chapel didn't necessarily raise me. She said they did every summer. I said, you sure right. Let me go ahead and make sure Powell Chapel AME gets some type of gift. Every time I go back to a place that's been good to me, I want to make sure I do for them. And I'm not the only person. Now, I am gifted to give. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that everybody's going to live like I do. I love to give. Everybody's not going to do that, but people will be appreciative. They will give you what they have. Silver and gold I have. But I do have a little marketing degree I can help you with. Tithe, I'm not there yet, but I can run your social media. I'm not ready to be in no ministry like that, but I can come and fix up your media. You know, I really can't be here every Sunday, but I can look at your finances because I think there's some places where we can cut some spending. Because I don't want you to think it's all about digital stuff. I promise you, young adults can do more than that. I'm saying we, but I'm getting older. You know, when I was younger, they'd be like, the young preacher come, and I'd be like, ugh. Now they'd be like, the young preacher, you talk about me? Here I am reporting to duty. But young adults, we are vice presidents of our departments or our companies. And then we come to church, and it's like, sit here, little baby. The world has given the church problems to solve, but they've given our members skills that they can use. I have one last question for you. Let me see. I'm trying to think of the best way to ask you. What do you offer members that will build them up for things outside of the church? Leadership training, is it to be a ministry leader, or is it so they can be a leader wherever they are? We have to give people something that shows them we care about their lives. Not about their tithe, not about their presence, not about their ministry, their service. No. What can we do to enhance and impact your lives? Beyond the sermon, because when we talk about the sermon, that means it's only one person, maybe 4, 7, who are responsible for change in people's lives. That's not how it works. We have to be responsible for the person next to us. We have to think long term, not about what we're going to do today. What does this look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What do we plant today? How do we nourish it? What can we see? What are the gifts we can see in people today? Because we have to go beyond our initial feeling. Because when I was in church, I don't do these things no more, okay? But at the same time I was in intercessory prayer, I was also cussing and fighting. I was fighting in church. I fought these twin brothers one time. I'm going to tell you about it later. But they didn't make me stop doing one because I was doing the other. They let me pray and fight. But you know what they really taught me? You can't fix your life well enough to hold off on serving God. You serve God and you fix your life. You serve God and you let God work in you. Because imagine if they would have said, you've been fighting. Get out of the prayer team. Then that would have told me, until I can get everything right, I can't serve. So I was praying and fighting and praying and cussing and praying and cussing and praying and fighting and praying and fighting and praying and cussing. And one day, I wanted to invite my best friend to come with me after school. We had something I was really excited about. And she said, where are we going to go? I said, to my church. She said, you go to church? I wanted to fight her. But I tell you today, I did have to do a little fighting, but I didn't start none. It was no more cussing. It was no more bodying twin brothers. I wanted to change my life. I didn't want people to be shocked when I invited them to church. I wanted them to want to come. I believed in my youth ministry. And I didn't want to be the reason they didn't want to come. And from that day forward, I literally changed how I operated at school. Because I wanted to be able to witness. But they didn't kick me off the prayer team while I figured it out. We talk about social impact, and I have to say this before I leave, and I'm done. When you talk about thinking beyond the moment, when you talk about not letting emotions distract you but fuel you, we have to say a big congratulations and thank you for the example to Pastor Bill Lamar. Thank you for reminding us there are so many ways to participate in the movement, and there's more than one way to skin a cat. I'm done. That's my presentation. Thank you for spending time with me.
All right. Thank you so very much. Isn't she awesome? Yes, and she'll be back with us this afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Brianna. I knew I should have called you later. Now, brothers and sisters, we're going to take a break and prepare for our service. Don't go far. All right, 15 minutes, and we're going to be in our service. All right, let me say good morning to Bishop Erica Crawford, who wrecked the house last night. All right, we'll take a 15-minute break, and our preacher will be Reverend Dr. Jessica Kendall Ingram. All right, take a 15-minute break. Make sure you stretch.
1, 2.
Excuse me, my brothers and sisters, real quick, just a brief housekeeping. If you are a program participant, please meet us right here on the left hallway towards the back where the bishop office is, the program participants, so we can make sure everybody's squared away. Additionally, if you're in this center section here and I did not give you a seat, if you're in the first 2 rows, I need you to back up a row, please. If you're in the center section here, the first 2 rows. I also need this entire first seat row on this side and the first row on the left side cleared out. Thank you so much.
Hey, Tim. 1, 2, 1, 2. Check, check. 1, 2, 1, 1. 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1. Hey, 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 1, 2. 1, 2, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1. Hey, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Check. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. Check. 1, 2, 1, 1. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2. Check. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1.